Don't sell your modded Toyota Tacoma to the dealership. Well, good morning everybody, and welcome back to Robmotive. And that's right, if you're trying to sell your Toyota Tacoma, maybe you're thinking about picking up a 2022, maybe even another used Toyota Tacoma. If you're modded, don't sell it to the dealership. Now, you can see what's behind me here. This is my 2020 Toyota Tacoma, and it's got all kinds of mods and stuff on it. It's got modded tail lights. It's got a modded exhaust under there, wheels, tires, side steps, sport bar, different colored mirrors. Of course, I have the tent on it. We've got some stuff done inside. It's got a custom center console cover on it. It's got some badging on the inside, phone holders, even has an aftermarket grab handle over here. And that's just a few of the things that I've done. If we look up here at the front, I've got a couple of things up here. You can see the grill underneath. You can see the TRD skid plate. You can see the shackles. Just all kinds of things that I've done with my Toyota Tacoma. Now, why do I say don't trade it to the dealer? Well, it's simple. You're not gonna get your money out of it. If you're trying to trade your Toyota Tacoma off and it's modded and you're not planning on removing the mods, and by the way, that's what you really should do if you're looking to trade it in at the dealership. If you can, remove the mods that you have on the truck. For the simple reason is they're not going to be worth anything to the dealer. The dealer doesn't care if you've got the truck modded. Matter of fact, it's probably even worse for them. And if you think about it, it makes sense. You know, having this YouTube channel and hearing the opinions from everybody on what I do, of course, there are some people who don't like some of the things that I do. And that's kind of what the dealership is looking at. You take your truck in there and it's got mods on it. It's not the cookie cutter stock Toyota Tacoma. Well, it's not going to have as big of a pool of potential buyers as that cookie color plain old Toyota Tacoma would have. And they're not going to give you the money for those mods that you have on in any form. Like I say, probably going to actually reduce the value of your truck. So what do? Well, you can sell it outright, because there are going to be folks out there. Now, you do have to find the right buyer, of course, but there are going to be folks out there that like what you've done, that appreciate the mods and things that you've put on your Toyota Tacoma. Those are the ones that you want. The people, obviously, that value what you've done to your truck, because they're going to be willing to pay a little bit more than a dealership would, because they realize that, number one, mods cost money, and number two, there's labor involved in putting them on, and maybe they just don't want to do it themselves. Maybe they want a nice, finished, modded truck. Now, it's kind of ironic, because I remember back when I lived more so in Ohio, and even here in Texas, the dealerships will often mod the trucks somewhat themselves, and I'm talking more about lifts and wheels and tires, things like that. And then they jack the price way up. So it's ironic to me that they'll take a brand new truck and they'll go ahead and do a little bit of minor modding to it and then sell it for way more money. Now, the advantage for the buyer, of course, is they're going to get warranty on those mods, right? On the lift that the dealership put on the wheels, the tires, whatever the dealer has done to the truck, there's going to be warranty on it. And that's another thing that the buyer is going to consider, at least I would. When they go in and they buy that truck as is, there's not going to be a warranty on any of the aftermarket stuff. And the dealership is certainly not going to fix it, because they're not the ones that put it on in the first place. So you have to consider that too, I think, as a buyer, that, you know, you're not going to have the warranties and things that you would get if the dealership did it themselves. Now, I mentioned before about taking everything off. You can certainly do that. I did that with my 2018. I had a 2018 Tacoma that I had done tons of mods to. I removed every mod for the most part. I think I left some stickers on the inside, some accenting things because I didn't want to have the residue left. Really couldn't get those off. But otherwise, the lift, the wheels and tires, I went out and I bought new wheels and tires so I could keep the ones that were on that truck for my next truck. That was worth more money to the dealership, obviously, on the trade. And then, if you're buying another one, at least one that's compatible, you can use those mods and things on the next truck, which is what I did with a lot of things on this one, like the light bar, like the fog lights, side steps, those kind of things. I kept those things to put on my next truck. Now, it's a pain to do, I must admit. And I found out in doing that I way more prefer doing the mods originally, in other words, putting them on the truck, than I do taking them off. And I think that's because if you're going to do that, you have to be careful. You have two things to consider. One, that you don't damage the mods as you're taking them off so that you can use them on the next truck. The other is that you don't damage the truck, because now it's obviously rather worth something to you. So the last thing you want to do, let's say for example, is pull the side steps off, you know, these Predator side steps right here, and then while you're moving them around, slam them into the side of your truck and put a nice gouge in the side of your truck. You have just devalued the truck. Certainly something you don't want to do when obviously you are terrating it in. That's terrating it in so that you can get the most money that you can out of it. You know, I did this video because I hear a lot of complaints on the channel about how people say they're getting ripped off. When they go to the dealer, they've got all these mods and things on the truck, and the dealership won't give them any money for it. Well, it makes perfect sense. They're in business to make money. And when you take a truck in that's been so modded, kind of like mine here, that it shrinks their buying pool, it's not a wise business decision. And probably what they're going to do is they're going to strip some of those mods off. Now, I will say, you will find your truck on the lot after you take it in fully modded the way that you traded it, right? Because obviously the dealership is looking for that one buyer that likes everything that you've done so that they can make all the money on that truck, just like you should do, selling it privately with all the mods and things left on, if you're so inclined to do so. Anyway, that's my advice. Do not sell your modded Toyota Tacoma to the dealership. Try to sell it outright. It's certainly more of a pain, but well worth it in the end if you're trying to get the money, or as most as you can, out of the mods that you've put on. There is one more thing to consider. When you trade your vehicle in at the dealership, it does reduce the taxable amount of the new truck. In other words, the cost of the new truck less the cost or the value of your trade-in is what you're taxed on. So there is a savings there, and that is certainly something that you should consider if you are looking at taking it in, because maybe if you can get enough out of your truck to reduce the price of the new one, it might actually be worth it from a tax standpoint. All depends. Anyway, leave a comment, let me know. Have you ever taken a fairly well modded truck in to trade it off and were disappointed at what the dealership would give you? I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Robmotive FST, all about my 2021 Toyota Tundra, and Robmotive JT, all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.